Okay, looks like it's 6 o'clock, 1800. For those of you that know military time or see that I use it, just makes it a little bit easier for me. It is Tuesday, the 18th of January, 2022. This is a Zoom session for LDR 360 spring session first. We started on 10 January of this year, 2022. We've finished up week one. Some of us have. And this is going into week two. So at this point, since nobody has indicated to me otherwise, and I'm now going on to the Ask for Help forum, you should see it on your screen. Let me back up just a little bit. So right now I'm on the Moodle page for the class. As you can see, I'm moving my cursor to the top of the screen. And I hope you see this. I'm sharing it, but since nobody's here yet, I'm going to just assume LDR 360, spring session first, 2022. Hard to believe. LDR 360, leadership through innovation. Our text has a little bit of a misnomer because it tells you on the title, managing innovation and entrepreneurship. And this is a leadership class. So we'll talk about that more in here just a bit, but that is why one of the first questions that you got, or if not the first question you got for me to discuss, is this aspect of leadership versus management. All right. Anyway, I give you a little bit of a warning. Be sure to read all the supplemental material to get started in the right direction. And there's a whole lot of material here on this page. Your announcement section is critical. As you click on that, you'll see what I post. The syllabus, welcome announcement, week one instructions. I apologize for having to cancel the Zoom session last week, the 11th. I had something that came up that I just couldn't avoid. And it just so happened to be right at the time that we were going to meet. So I apologize for that. Sorry, just checking my phone, see who's texting. Okay. So, and here's your week two assignment instruction. So you click on that, you'll get the same thing that you will see on your main page. Remember, here's your main page, right? When you click on the weekly tiles, if you will, that information tracks the weekly announcement for week one. The information here tracks the weekly announcement for week or assignment instructions for week two, and so on. And they all match the syllabus. The benefit of going to the announcements and reading that is that I put a little bit more amplifying information. So you're going to get a little bit more precision and a lot more information if you check that announcement. As it is, just going by the syllabus, you'll generally know what to do, but you still have to come out in Moodle to actually get the questions and know which case study I want you to look at. I think there's a couple places where I allude that you may be able to pick your own case study. Did that a few courses ago. Excuse me, I needed to take a drink there. The problem was it got to be a little bit tough to manage because not everybody would pick the same case, and so then we were kind of all over the page, and then when it came time to discuss later on in a Moodle session, if you will, sorry, I had another text pop up, being notified. I don't know if it's sidetracked. This is text from The Chosen. I don't know if any of you have watched this series, a free app, done by Dallas Jenkins, who is the producer. It's a crowdsourced exploration of the time of Christ with a very significant amount of view of the apostles. And so it's just very striking, very well done. Anyway, if you haven't caught any of it, I recommend it. But in the end here, we're back to LDR 316. So I tell you up front, look carefully at the start. Okay, there's a syllabus. All the syllabi in University of Mount Olive went into a revised format for some reason this year, within the first couple weeks of the session, or just before the session. And introduce yourselves form. Appreciated everybody doing that. That was a lot of fun. Gave me a lot of insight into you, and I appreciate that. If you're looking for more information on me, if you look to the right, you'll see Meet Your Professor. And if that doesn't grip you enough, there's a summary of the instructor, and there's a full bio curricula vitae if you really need to see it. But let's check the Ask for Help form to see if anybody popped in there. So far, nobody has. So that tells me that nobody's having any issues. Since I've not received an email from anybody indicating a problem anyway, I have received some emails. I'm assuming everybody's okay. I've asked directly a couple of you, or a few of you, because I didn't receive your weekly assignment. And because I've not heard from you, and we're now into week 2, I'm going to assume you all just decided you didn't want to do it. There is no problem with that in and of itself. You are certainly free to do whatever you want. The problem is that it costs you points, and those points are not recoverable unless there's a reason that we missed them in the first place. Generally speaking, University of Mount Olive policy is no late work, no makeup work, no grading on the curve, or things of that nature. So if you miss an assignment, it's a done deal. With that said, the dean has certainly understands exigencies will erupt. Those could be in the form of COVID or hurricanes, loss of power. Life happens. And we also certainly understand you all are very busy. You're normally, you've got your family, you're working full time, if not on serving our nation in the military or in first responder type of format. Or you all run your own business, or certainly work for a business or organization. And this includes our full-time mothers and those that run a household. That's a full-time job. Believe me, I understand. But anyway, suffice to say, we know you're busy, got a lot going on, and you're now taking coursework. This coursework is demanding, as you would want it to. I think when we speak to the issue of education, I think that is the one industry, one section of the economy that I don't know, I'm not convinced that the customer wants their money's worth. And let me explain what I just said. I'm talking education. There are those that take this course and a number of others and put in the requisite work in order to just get by, in order to attain that piece of paper to hang on the wall that says they are a graduate. There is nothing in and of itself wrong with that. I certainly understand it. It's what we call cooperate to graduate. And that is, to be sure, your business. With that, you are spending a lot of money on this and a lot of resources, not just in dollars, but also time. If you want to get your money's worth, get an education, then let's dive deep into it. My time is your time. If If you want to just do the minimal and get by, then that's what we'll do. If you want to dig into it and really get something out of it, get an education, then strap on and let's go, because I will certainly enjoy that with you. Regardless, this should be fun. There is some fascinating information in here, and when we talk innovation and entrepreneurship, we have to be very careful and not try to distill it all down to a science, which is not possible. And just like leadership cannot be distilled down to a science, in other words, there is a massive amount of it that is an art. The same thing with innovation and entrepreneurship. There's some things that that cannot be fully taught. I think. I think there are things that can be, because why else would you be in this course? But at some measure, you have to step out and do it on your own. And I think it's done like, for example, an art teacher. In other words, you're trying to teach students art. So you teach paint compositions, brush strokes, perspectives, how to apply certain things to your work. But in the end, it's what comes out of you, and that taps into an area a little bit beyond science, I think. Okay, enough of that. Let's continue on with our Moodle page. Here's where the Zoom sessions are. If you click into that, you will see the schedule and the links. Okay, so this is the one we are doing tonight. All you have to do is just hit the start, and you're in. If you don't want to do it by link, all you have to do is just open up Zoom into your computer or handheld. You can do it from your smartphone. Here's your meeting ID, and you're in. I will be posting these to the cloud, in the future. For now, you will find them, underneath in the weekly office hour Zoom sessions, shared video files, and I will post them there by week. You won't have seen anything for week one. In fact, let's take care of that right now. Sorry that my computer is running a little slow. Let's call this week number 1 Zoom, session. Hey, I was a tanker on active duty, so you got to bear with me. I'm not the world's best typist. No video available for this week. Okay, sorry to waste your time on that. Anyway, we'll post that. Okay. We'll add a new one. We will call this all right, and that's where I'll post this video when we're done recording it. Okay. All right. Let's head back out to our Moodle page. Again, starting from the top bottom, we finished talking about the Zoom sessions. Here's where I take attendance, and I explain it. Attendance policy. This is also what you'll find in the syllabus. The verbiage will be a little different. Attendance is not simply just logging on and viewing Moodle. It is based on activity. It requires you to submit work for grading, or you have initiated contact with me, and we've talked about an academic subject related to the course. Okay, that's attendance. So to be marked present means you still have to do something. Participation takes it a little bit further. So you'll see that you get graded on, for example, your forum discussion. And that means the participation in discussion groups. Okay, this is a online course, but you still have fellow students. And so there is a participation that I want you engaged with each other. We can learn from each other. We do learn from each other. I certainly get more out of you all looking at your posts than you all get out of me. I'm assuring you of that. I like to see your insights. I like to read what you come up with. And this also allows me to note how everybody is doing, that you've done the readings and that you are simulating the course material. The reason for that is that there will be marked items that come up later that your grade depends on. For example, and there was an error in the syllabus. I don't know if you caught it, but you have two papers that are due in this course, one in week 7, one in week 8, both related to innovation, one from the aspect of an organization, where I want you to pick an organization and you're going to write about it. In fact, I'm asking you this week to let me know, and over the next week, this week, certainly doesn't have to be tonight, but during this week sometime, identify for me the organization that you think you want to write about. And then we'll discuss the organizational innovation paper, takes a look at the organization that you pick. And then the week 8 paper is a personal innovation paper, which you talk about an innovation, something, a change, if you will, that you are contemplating or are executing on an individual basis. Okay. That participation predominantly in the forum has two aspects to it. One is you are expected to respond to the questions, and so that becomes a major part of your grade. If you fail to answer the question, that costs you points. If you fail to fully answer the question, that costs you points. To get the max amount of points, you need to fully answer the question, take it a little bit step further, show me that you've done the reading, bring something in from the text as part of your answer, and then you are to reply or otherwise post to 2 other students minimum their posting for that week. Okay, in other words, I don't want to see a fellow student, that's a great job, I like what you did here, sincerely Russ Pye. Okay, that's not a response. What I'm really looking for is for you to make comments on their posting and help them out a little bit, or encourage them, or otherwise tell them what you got out of what they posted. Okay. You certainly are free to bring in, I certainly encourage you to bring in the text. That's a minimum. But you're certainly free to bring in articles, current articles, articles on current events that are aligned with the topic at hand. As an example, your week 1 weekly assignment was on Facebook. And so if there's a current article out there or something happening related to Facebook that you want to bring up, please do so. I encouraged, for those that did respond, for example, to the Facebook assignment, you did not tell me how Facebook was going to assist you in the future. That happens a lot. When you do these case studies, I'm not asking you how that particular organization will help you in the future. What I'm getting at is the innovation lesson that you pulled out of that case study will help you. Okay, each of these case studies are picked for a reason, and they bring out certain aspects of your reading, of your text. So do your reading, make sure you understand the principles that are being come out, bring out. When you do your reading, one of the things that you need to make sure you do is pull 3 to 5. I'm a big 3x5 fan. Pull out 3 to 5 major points or principles that you got out of that chapter. In other words, if I asked you what you got out of chapter 1, succinctly, what would you tell me? Okay. And this is tough. I mean, this is something we all grapple with. The example I will give, the analogy I'll give is sitting in church listening to the pastor's sermon. I will admit there were years as a young man, I would sit and I would be attentive. I would listen to the pastor's sermon. And an hour or so after church was over, I couldn't tell you what the pastor really talked about. I know I listened. I know I was there, but I didn't study it. I didn't absorb it. So one of the habits I got into is writing notes during the sermon. I would pull the bulletin for that particular service, and I would jot down 3 to 5, major principles, verses, principles, whatever the pastor was trying to impart upon us. Same thing with your readings. Okay, it's a lot of reading if you do it. Otherwise, you can look at the words, but to really get the benefit of your course, you need to read through and to study it and to be able to pull out those principles. Okay. I talked about these tiles before. Here's where my cursor is over the summary of instructor. My contact information. I am predominantly remote, so you will need to get me electronically. I live in the Jacksonville, North Carolina area, which means I am available to meet if that is what, if you desire to do that, we can make that work. We would just have to come up with a time, date, and place. A little bit more information on the course. Welcome notification that I give you. This is different from the one that I sent to you in the announcements, but contains some good information. If you haven't gone through that, I certainly encourage you. This tile that has the tool on it, crescent wrench or socket wrench, whichever we want to say, is for Zoom and some of your Universal Mount Olive services. So this is where you find out more about how to do Zoom, how to access the library, and all that they offer. If you're having a problem with Moodle, this is where you would go or get up front into the self-service or the help desk. Unfortunately, you could contact me to let me know you're having a problem with Moodle, but I can't do anything for you on Moodle. I cannot upload papers for you. I cannot reset your password. So if it's a Moodle specific issue or problem, then you'll have to deal with the fine folks at the help desk, and they're very responsive and very helpful, I think. Again, at least that's been my experience. Okay, tiles 1 through 8 to correspond with each week. Each tile has the requisite read the assignment instructions. Okay, do that up front, up the announcement section. Here was a discussion forum. Looked like most of you found it. Had one person that has not. This is the discussion questions, which we talked about. Difference between terms management, leadership. You see where I think I was hitting in my feedback. Many of you caught into it. In other words, that there are functions underneath management that are similar, if not the same as leadership, talking about directing people and the like. But we find that for the purposes of our course and for your time as you matriculate here through University of Mount Alt, that we make a distinction between the two to highlight management is predominantly focused on the day-to-day, the making things happen, and keeping the organization on its track. Leadership we define as being the realm in which vision is developed and articulated, where change is directed to an organization. Okay, the top level focus, if you will. Okay, that's not to say one can exist without the other. In fact, we want both. We want an organization that has excellent management and leadership. And then, as I articulated, I think in my responses to you, generally speaking, if we find an organization that has poor management but great leadership, they'll do the right things, but they don't do them very well. And you'll see mistakes made, resources lost. As an example, some of you may recall years ago, there was a pet supply company called Petco that had a sock dog spokesperson, if you will, on their commercials. They ran a lot of commercials during their Super Bowl, as a matter of fact. Petco's business model, however, was unique in that they had a business plan, they had vision, they knew where they were heading, but they were selling their product for less than it was costing them to procure. Okay, so think about what I just said there. They were selling their product for less than what it cost them to get. And obviously they didn't survive. Conversely, if we find an organization that is well managed, but has poor leadership, then they're going to go by the wayside. In other words, for many years, Blockbuster had the corner market on video rentals. And you saw their stores everywhere. And you would go in and you would find a first run movie, and you would find a number of them. So that, yeah, you may not have gotten the first time around, but generally speaking, you would, see a movie you wanted to. And that organization had the market. They were just doing better than most any other similar organization out there. And then they were gone. You don't find Blockbuster anymore. And why? Well, because they let Redbox and some of these other video streaming and rental organizations online beat them out. So a case where you had good management, but leadership didn't keep the vision and wasn't able to keep up with the change. In other words, why drive to a store to rent a movie when I can go to this other company and do it over my computer? Anyway, enough of that. So, and then innovation. Okay, remember the key here on innovation that we're trying to get across. Excuse me, I had to scratch my nose there. Didn't mean to do that on camera. Is there has to be value to the consumer. Okay, innovation isn't just a product. It could be a service. It could be a city provided service. The city of Jacksonville decides to change over some of their trash bins to accommodate yard waste. And then provide that to the citizenry. That's an innovation. That is a change in their service. Police departments can innovate in how they deliver their services. Any number of organizations that deliver services can be part of this. So it doesn't have to be a product. Regardless, though, service, product, you name it, there has to be value added to that. Otherwise, why would the consumer or the customer want it? In other words, the customer has to have some type of value applied to that innovation. Okay. And then Facebook scenario, I provided you all feedback in the form of a PDF file. It's on Moodle, part of your grade. Again, do the brief description of the scenario. Don't do the whole scenario. I've read it. And that isn't a major part of your grade. I just want to make sure you pull out some of the key features of that scenario and just get yourself started. What I'm really interested in is, and what are the main points concerning innovation that are specific to the concepts of studying the chapter. In other words, what were you able to pull out of that scenario that applied to what you read for that week? And then how is the material, in other words, those concepts of innovation, applicable to the career, not the subject of the case study? An evaluation of successful and non-successful, okay? Things you think they do well, things that you think they could improve upon. And then give me some current research. Bring us up to date. Find me something that the company's doing today, and if it's related, positive or negative, to education or innovation, I should say, please and put that in. And then, okay, an environmental analysis. Okay, this is not asking you how green you are. What this is getting at is a SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Okay, how to do a SWOT analysis. And in my response, you'll see that if you haven't already had that in the previous course, which you should have had, because I think there is a prerequisite on this course of LDR 300, I think. Anyway, regardless of LDR or management, you should have come across SWOT analysis framework. If you have not, first take a look at the feedback I gave you on this scenario in Moodle. Take a look at what I give you there. Take a look at the template. And then if you have any questions or concerns, certainly contact me and I'll walk you through it. It's not hard. It's very simple, but you do have to think about it. Okay. And then in the end, you need to square the material with your own experiences and viewpoints. Okay. This should be your work. I don't want just a regurgitation of the text. I don't want you just telling me what do you think I want to hear. I want to hear from you what you think. You'll hear me often in course asking you, so what? What is the so what? In other words, we just covered a principle. How does that apply to you? What do you think about that? What does your experience tell you? What can you share with us to make us smarter? Okay. All right. The papers you'll find under week 7 and 8. The information's there already, and then end of course information is at the end of the course in the upper right hand corner. Smart evals will ask you to do an evaluation of the course. Believe me, the dean reads these and certainly lets us know if there's some areas we have to improve. And I'm going to ask you, just as I evaluate you throughout the course, in other words, you see your progress and how well I think you're doing and where I think you can improve. And we start that week 1 and you're seeing that in the grade book. I'm going to ask you to give me the same courtesy. In other words, if there's an issue or concern that you have with me personally, or as I deliver the course, I want you to let me know up front and give me time to work it and fix it. Please don't wait until the end of the course and then start spewing out invectives on how your instructor was terrible. Okay, if I'm that bad, let's see if we can't fix it now. And I'm certainly not one to shoot the messenger. I welcome it, just as I think any good leader will, and we'll go from there. Okay, well, it's 6:35. This has gone over the allotted 30 minutes, and I have not. I'm going to stop the screen share. I have not seen anybody try to join us. And that is, again, fine. This is not mandatory. It is purely voluntary. I will stop the video and then start posting it. For this week, I ask that you all buckle in, do your work. I wish you the best on it. Have some fun with it, and enjoy your week. And watch that weather on Friday. It looks like we're up for something. Okay. In the end, take care. And with that, goodbye.